I'm trying to find the best way with no glare on my glasses, but I don't know if that's gonna work. Alright, maybe it's the best. It is now Saturday at 1:04 a.m. and I can't sleep. But there's clothes to fold, wash, and dry. But before I do all that, I wanted to come back and do part 2 of my weight loss journey story from 2008 to now 2018. So part 2. We ended part 1 with my surgery was scheduled. So my surgery was scheduled for December 23rd, 2008. Now 2 weeks prior to my surgery, I was on a liquid diet. 3 protein shakes a day. All the chicken broth, water, popsicles except for red and purple. I think it was sugar-free Jell-O except for red and purple. And that's what I ate for 2 weeks. Now during those 2 weeks, I lost between 20 and 30 pounds. I can't exactly remember if I weighed, excuse me, 333 or 323, but I went into surgery at 303. And it was done laparoscopically, and I had no problems. I came out of surgery with 3 little slits in my stomach. Now, this was my second surgery. When I woke up in recovery the first time, I was very, very nauseous. Whoops. And they put something in my IV, and that took care of it right away. And boom, I was back out. I remember going to my room, and then I was back out. And then my mom was there, my sister, my daughter, my husband. They sat with me until I woke up. I have no idea what time I woke up, but it was dark outside. But then again, in December, it gets dark between 5 and 5:30. So, I had my little morphine pump. So when I felt like I needed something, I just hit the pump, boom, boom. And it administered a little bit. That night, I did not get out of bed. I got out of the bed the next day, which was the 24th. Right. Christmas Eve is the 25th. Oh, goodness, I can't remember. But the next day, I was up and I was walking and I was out of bed, walking slow, but it just got to the point where I was able to get up by myself, and I walked up and down the hallways. And you had to walk down the hallway, put a little check mark on the board because they had your name up there, and walk back up, walk back down. They expected so many check marks a day, which was no problem. There was other people's name on the board, but I never saw anybody. So, I don't know how big the floor was. I was at a hospital in downtown Detroit. And then my doctor did not come in. He came in and saw me the next day. And then the following day, somebody else did because he was off. But he had talked to my doctor, and so on Christmas Day, I was able to go home. So, which to me was very nice. I was ready to go home. I was ready to get out of there. So I went home, parked myself in the recliner with my little pitcher of water next to me with lots of ice. And again, popsicles, Jell-O, and broth for another 2 weeks. And I made sure I got up every hour and a half, and walked to the kitchen and back, walked to my utility room and back. My house was not big, 1,000 square feet, so I walked in circles sometimes, drove my dogs crazy because they followed me thinking that we were going somewhere. So it was probably about 2 weeks later, I had to go back in for a visit with the doctor, and everything was healing nicely. And by that time, I'd been off pain medication. I was feeling really good. But when I got on the scale, it was like my weight loss wasn't that good. So I didn't say anything. You know, maybe I was retaining fluids, or the anesthesia was, I don't know, messed with my body. So then I came back and saw him at a month, 3 months, 6 months, and I was following exactly what he said to follow. When I got to the point where I could eat anything, every morning I had a protein shake. After surgery, they were so sweet, I had to gag it down. Gag it down. Lunch, it might have been, I don't know. I don't remember lunch, but I remember dinner, because I'm a creature of habit. So it's the same thing. I got some of those Tyson Southwest chicken breast strips. Measured everything out. Some egg beaters, which was, I made equivalent to 1 egg, and a wedge of Laughing Cow cheese. I scrambled the egg, heated the chicken up, scrambled the egg, and threw the Laughing Cow in there to mix it all up. And then a little bit later, I started putting mushrooms in there because that sounded good to me. That was my dinner every single night. I was eating between 800 and 1,000 calories a day. I was working out 2 hours a day and worked myself up to 8 or 9 miles a day. I worked out 6 days a week. Then I started noticing like my weight loss had stopped, or my weight loss was really stalled. But if I ate over 1,000 calories a day, and I'm not talking 1,500, I'm talking 1,050, 1,075, maybe 11. Nothing. I was gaining weight. That's not right. In my book, something's wrong. And I was drinking Crystal Light and water. I'd already given up. I used to be a big Mountain Dew drinker, but I gave that up back in the spring. Excuse me. That was back in the spring that I gave that up. I went from drinking that to like cold turkey. All of a sudden it just started tasting really bad. It tastes like it had all this metal in it, so it wasn't hard to give up. I love my Crystal Light. I drink a lot, and my doctor was okay with it. I asked him, he counted that as water because it was sugar-free. He wanted me to get, close to a gallon in a day, which I was, sometimes over, sometimes right at, sometimes not quite there, but close enough. But if I kept my calories between 8 and the high 9s, I was losing 2 pounds a month. So my surgery was December of 2005. I went into surgery weighing 303. February of 2009, I got down to 192 pounds for a hot second. All of a sudden, I was eating the same thing, but all of a sudden, I started gaining weight, no matter what I did, no matter how much I worked out. And I was hungry all the time. So I was drinking more Crystal Light, more water, because I was hungry. And I knew that I shouldn't have been hungry, because I knew from 12 to 14 months, well, yeah, about 14, 15 months, your body catches up with what you're doing with the bypass, excuse me. And it catches on, and we're like, oh, I know what you're doing now, so we're going to do this. And I went back to my doctor, and I wasn't happy. And he's like, well, it's got to be what you're eating. You're not moving enough. Excuse me. I took my food journal to him. I logged everything I ate. I logged how much I worked out, what I did every single day. I was very frustrated. I was very upset. I was watching people that I know had weight loss surgery after me, and they were drinking beer, which I'm not a beer drinker. Or I'd watch them eat McDonald's or just other things that you shouldn't be eating, and the weight was just falling off of them. I was disappointed in myself. I thought I went through all of this to change me on the outside, to keep my insides healthy, and it's not working. Why? So then I started doing research on the computer, and it led back to the same thing. When they cut your stomach, they have to make a new opening to reattach your intestine to it, and they call that a stoma. So everything led back to my stoma was too big, and that meant nothing was staying in my stomach. So at that far out, everything's relaxed, everything's healed, and your insides are back to your new normal. And when you have the bypass, they don't take your stomach out. For the sleeve, I believe they do. They cut 80 to 90% of that off and don't mess with your intestines. So I was like, okay. So then I got a letter saying that my doctor was no longer affiliated with where I was seeing him at. They didn't say where he went. They just said, your new doctor is so-and-so, which happened to be his cousin. So I went and saw him, and I explained everything to him. And he's like, well, why are you gaining weight? Why are you eating? It's my fault. And at first I thought it was my fault, but I went back over my food logs. I had my friend go over my food logs. And it's just, was dumbfounded, because at first when I told him something was wrong, it was, oh, you just want the weight to fall off of you. You just want to do this for vanity reasons. And I said, no. I said, but, I said, I guess that part of me wants to do it for vanity reasons. I want to fit in an airplane seat. That's my vanity. I want to be here for my kids. That's my vanity. I don't want to get high blood pressure. I don't want to get diabetes. That's why I did it. I didn't do it to look good, because if I did to look good, I'd had to have a facelift and a lower body lift and a booby lift and them to cut the skin off my thighs and my arms, and it's too much. Way, way, way too much. So when I went and saw my new doctor, he was just like, well, you're not doing something right. And I'm like, no, I am. He said, here's everything. He's like, well, how do I know that you're really following this and you're not just writing something down? I said, would you like me to videotape it? And he just kind of looked at me. So he's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. He said, you can have a protein shake for breakfast. And I said, okay, what about a protein bar? You know, like, well, most of them are filled with sugar, blah, 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 blah. So at that point, I was eating pure protein, which was 20 grams of protein, not that much sugar, but the carbs were high. It never dawned on me about the carbs till now when I started looking into keto. So I brought one to show him. I always carried one in my purse. And he told me, yeah, it was fine. I could have that for breakfast. But then breakfast and lunch were either, one was to be a protein shake, one was to be a protein bar if I decide to have a protein bar. If not, 2 protein shakes. All the water that I wanted. And I had to eat a 1.5 cups of carrots a day. And then my dinner was no more than 300 calories, I think. No, it's like to find a lean cuisine or a Weight Watcher under that. Or even try to make something. It was a ridiculous diet. But I tried. And I tried. And I failed. And I failed. And I failed. The longest I made it was for 5 days. And at that point, my friend, even my daughter, they were telling me, you gotta eat. You look like you're gonna pass out. I was exhausted. I could hardly move. I was just dragging. And my daughter's like, Mom, come on, please. You just need to eat. Don't worry about that. And even doing that, I still wasn't, the weight wasn't budging. It was going up. So I didn't go back to him. And I just kind of didn't do anything for a while. And next thing I know, I'm back up to like 260, 280. I didn't have my body surgically altered to go through that and to work as hard as I did to gain the weight back. So again, it was a blame game. It was me. What was I doing? This was me doing it to myself. I couldn't drink milk. I had what they called dumping syndrome, to where if I ate too much sugar, it was horrible what I went through, what my body went through. I would sweat, I would shake, I would feel like I was gonna pass out. My chest would hurt, and I just was in the bathroom for a long time, not knowing what was gonna happen. So I found out real quickly how that worked, what to avoid. Now, there are sometimes foods that we went to the casino, me and two of my friends. And they're like, hey, let's get the buffet. And I was like, I guess. But at a casino, the buffet is usually cheaper than eating in a restaurant. So I went and I had some fish and some vegetables. And the desserts are little, so I was going to get something to have a bite or two. I think I got a little mini cannoli and ate that. And then we went back and we were walking around and, we were playing, I don't know, penny slots or something. I take $20 and I'm done in no time. But then all of a sudden I started feeling really bad. And I don't know what I ate, but whatever I ate didn't agree with me. Had hidden sugars in it. I don't know. I know I had soup too. I ate more soup than food. So, and I was talking to my friend, and then she had agreed that something was wrong with my surgery. And I'm like, why'd you change your mind? And she had said that she'd seen a lady who had a little bit less weight to lose than what I did. And she was almost to goal in less time because I was going the opposite way now. So my friend's insurance changed and she had to find a new doctor. So she found a new doctor and she liked him. So she said, well, go to this doctor for a second opinion. And I said, okay. So I went and I explained everything to him. And he said, well, your doctor's still practicing in the state of Michigan. I said, he is, but I don't know where he's at. And he said, oh, he's with Henry Ford Healthcare now. And I was like, oh, okay. He said, so if you do have a problem, he said, which I'm sure you caused yourself, then I won't touch you because your doctor's still here. And I was like, oh, well, this was a wasted time. And he's like, and then I had to meet with the dietitian and to talk to her and to take my food log to her and everything. And now at this point, I was so disgusted and so upset and so disappointed in myself that I just stopped. I stopped caring. I ate what I wanted. I could only eat a little bit at a time, but not too long after that, I was hungry. And it's hard to go so long being that hungry without eating every couple hours. And it just seemed like my eating windows were getting closer and closer instead of bigger. So then he tells me, well, I'll see you in 6 months. I'm like, why? I said, you can't help me. You won't help me. I said, there's no need in me to come back. So I found out where my doctor was. And I went and I saw him. And he talked down to me because I told him what I thought was wrong. And that was horrible because he wouldn't make a mistake like that. He's a doctor. So he's like, well, tell me what you eat. So I told him, brought my food log. And he's like, you only eat this much. I said, most days, yes. Some days, no. Well, so how many cakes and candy bars do you have? I said, I don't. I'm not a sweet eater. Oh, yeah, you are in order to gain all this weight, and it went on and on and on. And then my daughter, he looked at my daughter, and he says, just pretend your mom's not here and tell me, what's she have hidden in her desk? What's she have hidden around the house that she's sneaking and eating that you know about? And she told him, my mom told you the truth. She doesn't do that. If she wants a candy bar, she'll buy a candy bar, take a bite, and then give it to somebody else. So, of course that wasn't true. Because the actors know everything. So then I had to go for, I guess it would be an upper GI. You had to drink that nasty stuff. And then they tracked it as it went down into your stomach. And it should stay in your stomach. Then they had turned me upside down, which was horrible. But when I got done, the man that did it said, Ken, are you okay? Do you have any questions? I said, oh, I'd love to know my test results, but I know you can't give them to me. And he's like, why not? I'm the head of radiology. I said, okay. He's like, well, you came in for this. Is there a reason? I said, well, this is what I think. I think that my doctor made my stoma too big and everything just passes through. He said, you're right. He said, your stoma is too big and everything does pass through. So finally, the answer that I knew, but nobody else. Oops, sorry. But nobody else would believe. So when I went back to him, for test results, we talked and I told him, he's like, well, how did you find out? And I said, well, he told me because he said I could ask anything. So he started yelling about that. And he technically never gave me my test results. And he was so upset. He told me he would not do a revision on me. He would give me a lap band. And I said, no, I don't want a lap band. It just seems like after 5 years, at the most, too many people are having trouble with the lap band. So I was like, nope. He's like, well, I'm not doing a revision on you. I'll put a lap band around your stomach. And nope. I said, then I guess we're through. We're done. I'm not going to keep coming to you, being talked down to, and you want me to beg you for a lap band. I said, no, I'm done. So I gave up for a while. And then I started doing research on the internet on doctors. And I found a doctor out in Bloomfield Hills. He did what they call a DS or a Duwaddle switch. It's been around for a long time, but it's one of the surgeries you don't hear a lot about. But what my BMI was, since it was over 50, that would have been the proper surgery for me. Because they leave your Duwaddle switch intact, or your Duwaddle valve or whatever. They leave that intact. And that's what they go around, however they do it with your intestines, to where on the bypass, they disconnect that Duwaddle. I'm not exactly sure what the main purpose that it does. So they had a questionnaire online. I filled it out. A couple days later, I got a phone call. And she wanted to make an appointment. And I'm like, okay, I have a problem and I want to see about getting a revision. Okay. I said, is he going to have a problem with that? She said, no, not at all. I said, okay, what if it's doctor error and the doctor's still here in Michigan practicing? Will he do it? Oh, yeah. He says he cleans up a lot of doctor mistakes. He does a lot of revisions, whether the doctor's still here or not. He just wants to get things right for people. So I set up my appointment, my consultation with him. And here we're going to end part 2. So next time, it'll be a consultation with a new surgeon. And we'll see what this surgeon says, if he's able or going to help fix me. So, until next time, and it is Easter Eve. I don't think I'm going to post anything on Easter unless it's real fast, because I have a lot of people over, and my daughter-in-law, had her surgery, so I'm going to do a lot of the cooking, which is fine. But I just want to tell everybody, Happy Easter. May your Easter be filled with love, laughter, happiness, and wonderful food. From me to you, Happy Easter. Until part 3.